something in that person, in the other, that you allowed into your life reminds you on your upbringing. And oftentimes it's not the most positive memory. It's something that we need to work through, something we need to integrate, something we need to let go of, something we need to step into. You together can be very strong, right? You can grow into this really, really strong couple. Powerful couple too. Because you have that inner strength. That takes courage. Lots of courage. To allow yourself also to be emotionally vulnerable and to listen to the other and to take them in and to be sensitive enough to their emotional vulnerability. Hello, my loves, welcome back. So today we are talking about a highly requested aspect, and I actually let you vote between two aspects and which one you want to see next, and most of you wanted to see this one. So we are talking about it. Moon opposite Mars in Synastry. What can we expect when we have this lovely little aspect? Not so little. When we have this aspect in our Synastry charts. Well, what's the moon? Well, the moon is our emotional digestive system, right? It is how we digest the world emotionally and also how we respond to the world. It is representing our deep emotions and our sensitivities. And it also is representing the unconscious, right? Our conditioning. And I think this is particular in this aspect, really important to understand and remember. Then Mars is our assertiveness. It's our drive. It's how we get what we want, right? How we go after things. And our passion, desire. And with this aspect, one person sometimes might feel emotionally very vulnerable, and the other person may feel a little impatient and reactive. And that, in this relationship, can lead to big misunderstandings. And like I always say, I like to point that out in almost every video. In the Synastry chart, yes, one person brings the moon, the other person brings the Mars. But energies flow both ways, and both people have the moon and the Mars also, a moon and a Mars in their chart. So sometimes, and by sometimes I mean very often, what I've seen is that the moon person actually plays out the Mars and the Mars person plays out the moon. Not always, of course not always. This is not always the case, but I've seen this a lot where we almost reverse roles, and it's kind of like a mirroring again, right? It's this mirroring where we show the other, we give them a little bit of their own medicine, if you know what I mean. So what do we have here? Well, we have a very passionate relationship to begin with, right? Very passionate. We feel very close very quickly. It doesn't take us long to connect emotionally. It's instant. It's like there's something there. I got to be close to that person. And again, both people will feel that, right? It's like I don't know what it is, but I want to be close to them. They scare me a little. Not scary as in, I don't feel safe, but there's a little, they scare me a little, but I also am so I really emotionally with my whole body, I need to be with them. But remember what I said earlier, the moon represents our past conditioning. And with all aspects that involve the moon, but this in particular, we often attract into our lives a person that represents someone that we had to deal with in our past. And yes, I'm talking about our caregivers, mother, father, or whoever your caregiver was. Usually it is our mother or our father. And that's where the work is with this aspect. And I'm smiling because I know this aspect very well. But again, this aspect is playing out in everyone's life according to their world, right? What's happening in their life, what happened in their past, right? Not every person feels exactly the same with this aspect. It doesn't show up in exactly the same shape, form, and size. Of course not. but, you know, energetically, this is an aspect that we created as in we allowed that into our life so we can heal something, right? Especially with the moon, there's always a bigger healing, bigger inner child healing. We usually say the moon represents the mother. But quite frankly, in the case of a synastry chart, I've seen either, right? When we have this aspect with someone, the moon within us, within the partner, can represent their mother or their father, or our mother and our father, or even both, right? The parents, the way your upbringing, something in that person, in the other, that you allowed into your life reminds you on your upbringing. And oftentimes it's not the most positive memory, if I may say so. It's something that we need to work through, something we need to integrate, something we need to let go of, something we need to step into. Where do we have to be more assertive? Where do we have to be less assertive? Where are we so angry? Where are we holding this anger inside of us? Where do we have to find a way to let out that anger in a healthy way? What are we angry about? Who are we angry with? This aspect also shows itself as emotional tension between the people. Not every day, of course, but it shows up quite frequently. Again, it's here to help us resolve something and evolve something. It is often like a push-pull dynamic between the two people in this relationship. And like I said, you know, one person will feel overly emotional, and by overly emotional, I don't want to diminish the emotion, but like very, very sensitive, and the other person will feel really impatient. It's like, what's going on? Come on. It's kind of that dynamic. So this can, of course, also lead to emotional outbursts and conflicts, right? It can get a little volatile at times. And by volatile, I mean like, you know, there can be some louder conversations, let's say, right? Where we are all in our emotions, both of us. Something might have triggered us that reminded us on the past, and not necessarily in a conscious way, right? It is often very subtle. When we allow ourselves to think about it, we will get there, right? We will understand what this reminds us on, really. You know, what the real issue is within us. But we have to allow ourselves to get there and to go there. And often we don't want to, because Mars is like the ego, right? It's like, no, I'm right. And the moon is too sensitive. It's like, no, I don't want to look. I don't want to see. There's also this desire for physical closeness, right? Like this both people want to be close, right? There's constant touching here. There's a very touchy-feely kind of couple, right? They're constantly touching. However, when there is conflicts and arguments, it could go the other way. It's like, don't touch me. Get away from me. Stay far away from me, right? Again, there is this push-pull. There's this like one end of the spectrum and the other end of the spectrum, and we have a really hard time to find the center, right? We're either here or we're here, and that can be really, really exhausting, right? This is an aspect that can get very, very exhausting for both people. But like I was saying, there's something to learn here, right? And the idea with this aspect is to emotionally grow through the conflict. What are you integrating? What are you learning here about yourself, about your past? What have you not integrated from your past that needs to be integrated so you can grow, not just as a person, but also within the relationship, right? Because you want to make this relationship work, at least most of the time, you know, unless there's like physical violence, of course, you know, then you obviously do not want to make this work. But generally, you know, when we have like those conflicts, emotional outbursts in the relationship, we still want to make the relationship work. But in order to make the relationship work, we both have to make ourselves work, right? Both people have to make themselves work internally. And that takes courage, right, Mars? That takes courage. Lots of courage to allow yourself also to be emotionally vulnerable and to listen to the other and to take them in and to be sensitive enough to their emotional vulnerability. But I think if you find it in you, you know, to work on yourself, to integrate things, and then to work on it together, this can be an extremely rewarding aspect. Extremely rewarding. emotionally rewarding. You together can be very strong, right? You can grow into this really, really strong couple. Powerful couple too. Because you have that inner strength. So with that, I want to leave you. There is a blog post also about this particular aspect. I will link it below. And if you have any questions about this aspect, feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section. If you want to hear me talk about a different aspect, please mention it below. Mention what you want to hear and see. And if you want a personal reading, as you know, you can just click on the link in the description box and you can book your reading. And anything else, I'm here for you. I wish you a beautiful day and I will see you in the next video.